Dr. Paul Kurtz was a guest on our program a couple months ago, and he's the man that wrote the Humanist Manifesto 2. And when we got to this area, he said, but wait a minute, the only people that testified to the truth of the resurrection were all believers. And why didn't Jesus appear to any unbelievers? What would you say to that?
Well, as we indicated at one point earlier in this series, those disciples were not believers until the resurrection convinced them. Thus, Thomas was certainly an unbeliever. So there we are. But, you know, in a court of law, the question is not whether or not, is not how a person came to a particular conclusion. The concern in the court of law is whether or not his conclusion is upon the evidence. If Jesus rose again from the dead, it doesn't really make any difference who testifies to it. The important thing is simply that the person be in a position to have had direct contact with this man after he had come back from the dead. Yeah. And fascinatingly enough, you know, the way of demonstrating this doesn't require any great philosophical sophistication. All you've got to do is show that a person is dead at point A and alive again at point B. One good way to do this is offer them a fish. Very few people will eat fish if they're dead. Try it at the local funeral parlor. If that gray gentleman inside the door eats the fish, it's the undertaker, it's not the corpse. And Jesus ate fish with his disciples under controlled conditions after the resurrection. This is just one of the innumerable evidences over a 40-day period to the effect that this man was alive again. Professor Kurtz ought to pay attention to evidence like that.
Yeah, another way of saying it is we expressed to him that was like saying, listen, apart from the 10 witnesses who saw the murder on your side, all these 100 people over here, they didn't see it. Well, you only need one witness to convict a guy of murder in a trial.
Precisely.
Was there anybody that did see it? And are they credible? And we're saying that the evidence is in and they are credible. One other thing here, what have we found in archaeology that substantiates the fact that these men knew what they were writing about? That Luke, you got Ramsey, and you've got other people that started off as skeptics, and a lot of people don't know. There's been a lot of archaeological study that's been done here. Maybe give us one example before we go off the air here.
Well, it was said up until a generation ago that perhaps the New Testament writers had actually created Pontius Pilate. That such a person had never existed at all because the only references to him in classical literature always relate him to the trial of Jesus. So perhaps he was a fignutin of the apostles' imagination. But then, lo and behold, the archaeologists turn up the famed Pilate inscription. And there it states the name of Pilate and the fact that he is procurator there. This just goes to show that it's a very poor idea to be a liberal biblical critic because you've got to change grounds every time someone sticks a spade in the ground.